Siri, it's so good to see you again. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much. I love being with you. Thank you.
Oh, I love being with you too. And I was just thinking that I think Kat introduced us.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And I
Yeah.
was literally just on her podcast like 2 seconds ago.
Oh my gosh, I have to connect with her too. It's so interesting. She and I met at a Kathy Heller event, and it's so interesting when life just brings you these amazing connections. And then you're like, wait, how did we meet?
Our souls just were destined.
Exactly, exactly. And I'm so excited to talk to you today because you are just one of these people that I admire. You have this amazing podcast that is streamed in 65 countries, and you've been doing it for so long. And you do so many other beautiful things in the healing space. Tell us maybe what you've been up to lately.
Thank you so much. And P.S., I want to have you onto the panel in July, but I don't know. You might be at a retreat or something.
I saw that. I was like, I have to see if we're traveling that day, but that would be amazing.
Well, to be continued, I want to have you on one of the panels. So, what I've been up to is, of course, the podcast, as we're talking about, the authentic creative, expanding our capacity to feel good. And
Mm.
like you said, I've been doing this for a minute and it's been a few years. And other people's podcasts have been going on for longer than that. But I really feel like it's been a decade because I've just done it so devotionally.
Yeah.
And I've had so many people on the podcast like you that are so wonderful. And I feel like time just expands when we're together
Mm.
on our podcasts. So I think it just feels like it's been longer than it has because I've just been doing it so often. And I really enjoy it. I enjoy doing these panels where I have women like you, entrepreneurs who are connected to spirit, connected to source, connected to God, that share their truth and are leaders in the world. And I so enjoy sharing their light with the world. I think the more that we can lift each other up in this way, like you've done today by saying, come on the podcast and talk about your retreats, the more we all rise together. And so thank you for that. I have several modalities that I facilitate and teach, either one on one or in groups, but also now I've been really focusing on these retreats, which you also do, and the magic of the deep transformation that happens on these retreats, especially women, because that's what we're talking about here with these retreats I'm doing. When they set it all down and they step out of the daily dynamics, of the daily responsibilities, of the daily roles that we play of good daughter, good wife, good sister, good neighbor, good community person, contributor, all the roles that we play in all the various ways that we play them. When we can step out for a moment of those roles and set it all down and really be supported, nourished, literally, physically, emotionally, spiritually.
Yeah.
These retreats that I do are all fully catered and by a Reiki caterer specifically, who's catered for 25 years and is a Reiki master. And now she's just magically, like we're saying, souls come together. She's just magically aligned into my universe and mine into hers, where now we're sourcing her 25 years of catering and her several years of Reiki mastery with the retreats that I'm doing. So not only are these women going to get to be the goddesses of light that they are and just receive that nourishment, but they're also going to have it with this unconditionally loving energy.
That sounds so amazing. And I do love retreats. I think that, as you said, when we step out of our daily routine, when we're able to just completely remove ourselves from all the identities that we carry, all the obligations, the day to day things on our to do list, and really just reconnect with ourselves, like underneath all of that, it's so amazing how quickly transformation can happen.
Yes, it's really a fast track. I love the fact that we're on Zoom, or what's this? We're on here.
Zencaster.
Yes, I love the fact that we can do these long distance. And Reiki certifications give you that aspect as well, where in second degree Reiki, you learn long distance healing. And it's so powerful to use those invisible waves and those intentions and prayer, like you just did before we started
Yeah.
talking. It's so powerful that you can really change lives and connect hearts and heal yourself and create the conditions for others to heal within themselves in a long distance way. And also being in person at these retreats that we're talking about, there's just a deeper level of transformation that can occur when our mirror neurons are right there, when we're in each other's pheromones, and we can like actually literally have safe touch. We can have that sisterhood, we can have that nourishment, we can have that tribe. So I'm super excited. The last couple of Goddess of Light retreats have just been so transformational, not only for the women, but for me. And my stepdad said to me when I was sharing with him about it, he said, you can't lead a transformational retreat without being transformed yourself. And
So
it's
true.
so true. And even not just being there and facilitating, Aneta, but it's like the process of creating the conditions in the environment and calling in the souls that are aligned to your vision
Yeah.
is a transformation sped up in and of itself. Man, that's something else, isn't it?
Yeah. It's so amazing because I remember when I wanted to do my first retreat, I was so nervous that no one would
Yeah.
show up. And then you just
Yes.
find that every retreat that the right people come and
Yes.
that there's this amazing alchemy that happens when these souls come together because one person could change everything. There's just
Yeah. The
this beautiful
dynamics.
magic, the dynamics. And every time I do a retreat, I learn something about myself
Yes.
and I get that much wiser through the experience.
Yes.
And there's some things you can plan for because you just have experience and you're like, okay, I know this about myself, about my energy, what I need. And there are things you absolutely cannot plan for. And just like you were saying, people that come are there for a transformative experience. And spiritually, I change and grow every single time I do one of these too. And it's very confronting when you are holding space for that many people and you have such intentions to do your best and to do all the stuff. And yet, it's like your wedding day. Something is going to get screwed up, and you have to be able to just let that roll off because it's not going to be perfect.
I love that you use the analogy of it's like your wedding day, because I really feel like putting these retreats on is like creating little mini weddings
Totally.
in
Yes.
terms of the intention and the planning and the love and the care and the
Yep.
thoughtfulness that we put into it, how we want the people to feel when they show up, how
Yeah.
we want them to be transformed. And the other interesting thing is about the transformational retreats is I was having a conversation about this is, oh, so if you're going to ask people to come and have a transformation and you're going to be the conduit leader for that transformation, well, get ready for them to bring their stuff
Oh, yeah.
and to unpack it, right?
Yeah.
And for you to be the quotes authority that they're going to project onto. So whether they've got teenage wounds or inner child wounds or
Yeah.
mother wounds. Yeah. So then what I started to learn, and you're probably going to understand this, is that my needing to be accepted and liked really needs to get turned down. And it's not about that. It can't be about that. Oh, I need to fit in right now.
Yeah.
In those little moments of socialization that you have between when you're leading,
Yeah.
you really have to remember, and this is what I've been learning, is it's not about me, obviously, of course, but it's really like staying in that role of service. And yes, you're their friend, but also you're there to be a safe landing space and to just let them have what they need. And that's been really interesting as a learning process. So each retreat, I'm seeing an up level. Oh, this is that I can build on what I learned, like you just said, build on
Yeah.
that experience of how can we make this even better?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited to see, because one of the women who came to the last retreat, the Goddess of Light retreat on the Oregon coast, she said, if that was your beta, I don't even know what's next. I'm like, great, I'll take it.
Oh my gosh. Siri, how many aligned souls are you calling in for this retreat?
So the Reiki retreat is a first and second degree certification, which I've never done before. For 26 years of teaching Reiki and
Wow.
teaching with my mom, I learned when I was a teenager. I've never combined them because traditionally with Dr. Usui's method, what I was taught, what all the 30 plus books I've read, they all basically said, you wait, you do first degree, you learn to fill your cup, you do that self-care
Mm,
before, you integrate that self-care before you start to really learn how to serve others and give to others and do long distance Reiki and all the things that we do with the symbols and the mantras and the full table treatment, 60-minute table treatment where you can get paid to be a practitioner.
yeah.
But this is the first time I'm bridging these together because the women that you and I know that are coming into my sphere are like ready beyond ready. They don't need to wait 3 months in between. They're already doing Reiki. They just
Yeah.
don't necessarily have the specifics. It's time, and it's time to do it in an immersive way and a retreat environment now that I know how to do retreats. So it's very exciting. It's currently in this moment, this could change later today. In this moment, it's at my home in Camas, Washington, and I'm 20 minutes from the Portland International Airport. But if we have a few more women that want to come in that feel called to, if they feel aligned with me and they feel called to Reiki, because it's really a calling to be
Mhm.
a light worker, then we're going to expand into an Airbnb. And it'll either be this gorgeous place on the coast or it'll be a gorgeous place in Mountain National Forest. And both of those places are near enough that we can just all caravan over there. So that's where I'm up to. I would say maybe potentially 4 spots available right now. So that's where that's at. And then I'll be in Brentwood in Los Angeles, August 8th and 9th and 10th at Plate Fit at Rachel Blumberg's place doing first degree Reiki, just the class, not a retreat.
Oh, that's
And then
great.
on the 10th is just like a transformational breathwork infused with Reiki class that's separate.
So good. That sounds so delicious. Like I use that word all the time because I'm like, it just, for the soul, it just feels so nurturing to
I
do
love
breath
that
work
word.
plus Reiki, of course, right? So good. The right people, the right number, whatever it is, whatever the experience that's supposed to unfold will happen. I hope that it unfolds exactly as it should. And I know how much care you bring into everything that you do. And I know your intentions and just how kind you are and how talented you are in your gifts. I think that if anyone's listening and they have wanted to do it and feel maybe the stirring in their heart, that this could be such a beautiful way to do it. It's not like you're going for a weekend in a classroom and learning. This is something that is different. And what a beautifully supportive way for someone to experience the gifts of Reiki by also receiving from you at the same time.
Thank you. And I just want to back up and say if you're listening and you're like, what is Reiki? Or I understand what it is, but I don't necessarily understand all of it. Maybe there's like a kind of a general understanding. It's just a natural system of energy healing. It's the energy of unconditional love, it's life force energy. It's how Buddha and Jesus originally healed. This is the original medicine. And a man named Dr. Mikao Usui rediscovered Reiki. He was a Japanese reformist monk. He rediscovered it. There's a whole story, and it's actually on my podcast right now if you want to go listen to. There's 4 on the Authentic Creative podcast. There's 4 episodes, all my teachings about Reiki. So you can actually get the class for free, basically. But what you can't replace is the attunement process. And the
Yeah.
attunement process is what makes Reiki different from other processes, from other modalities. It's a sacred ceremony where you get to step into that traditional ancient lineage and have that lineage at your back, have those teachers that taught thousands and thousands of people at your back, because you step into this line of healers, of light workers. There's like this initiation, and it's also a vibratory initiation. So you slough off these lower vibrations and you really fine tune, like fine tuning a radio station. If there's a little bit of static, that's what the attunement process is, just fine tuning. So we get that crystal clear channel so that you can be this channel of life force energy, of love energy, where, and this is what's so brilliant as Aneta, is that you get to simultaneously fill your cup whilst
Mm.
serving others. You cannot give Reiki without receiving it.
Mhm.
That's beautiful to me. Like, we as women, especially as entrepreneurs, space holders, caretakers, we need to be able to source ourselves while we serve others. So this does that.
It's so important. Thank you for going through the details. And I highly encourage people to listen to those episodes if they're curious. And I actually have a client, so interesting. She works in the healthcare space and she's near retirement. And we were talking about what to do next. And she had a vision about, she experienced Reiki and had a vision that this might be the next thing for her. So I'm going to actually throw a monkey wrench and say, maybe you don't have to wait till retirement. Maybe you need to go to Siri's retreat and get certified now. I remember when I went through yoga teacher training, like it literally just opened up. I just started coaching and I wasn't ready to go through any sort of training and get certified. And my friend Debbie, who does Reiki and Eden energy and fine tuning forks, and I get a lot of things with her. She's no, they're starting a yoga teacher class right now in 2 weeks in my space right here. And I said, I'm not ready. She said, I don't think it matters that you think you're ready because look, like it literally just happened. So if someone's listening and they've got that nudge and maybe they're like, oh, the timing doesn't seem right, really sit with that, really pray, really tap in, connect, and ask yourself, because maybe what you're feeling, that nudge, is exactly what you need to do. And often when we say yes to those situations, it becomes a blessing that you couldn't even have planned for otherwise.
Mm, man, you're such a man, woman. You're such a woman of service. I just love how you're speaking with such generosity. It's not about if she's going to do it now or if I'm going to, it's like, could you and I both lead retreats? It's like, yes, come, be
Oh my
called.
gosh.
And the other thing is, I first learned from my mom in Vermont and from her Reiki masters. But then as I kept going on my Reiki journey, I read all these 30 plus books and I found this woman, Libby Barnett. And Libby Barnett, the reason I'm bringing this up is based on what you said, is she wrote a book called Reiki Energy Medicine, which you might already know, Aneta, but Reiki
Oh,
Energy Medicine, her and Maggie Chambers, is all about bringing Reiki into hospitals, hospice, and home. And
wow.
that was such a practical, not a woo woo, such a practical
Mhm.
application of this beautiful energy. And that really drew to me. So then she became my teacher and I shadowed her in all sorts of things. But the fact that we can bring it into these spaces like Dr. Mohammed Oz brings it into the surgery room, this is what is needed.
Mhm.
The caretakers, unfortunately, you're talking about your friend in the hospital systems, in these caretaking systems, are not well taken care of.
No,
They're
that is so
so
true.
depleted, they're so burnt out, they're so not nourished. They need this.
Oh yeah. My daughter, my youngest, is a nurse and I see that all the time. She came over yesterday. I'm like, you just look so tired. And I love that we're starting to see that Reiki is becoming mainstream. People are more aware of it. They're more curious. They're open. They have had experiences. And once you experience, and I remember the first time my friend Debbie, I went to her and she used to be in banking like I was. And then she left and she started actually doing energy work on animals and then humans.
Yes.
And it was such a beautiful experience because I know that Reiki is not always hands on, but we are so desperate for touch. We are so desperate.
Yep.
And I don't think
I'm
it even
starved
has,
culture.
we're so starved for like attention and just like feeling a connection with another human in a very
Safe.
loving, safe way that without all this other stuff that we sometimes fear and worry about. And so when you
Mhm.
experience that, it's so nurturing and it comes back to just being like, wow, I didn't know I needed that. Sometimes we don't even know. And the same thing with breath work as well. You and I both love breath work. So I love how you're infusing both breath work and Reiki together. Like, how did that come to be? And what does that look like if someone were to experience one of those sessions with you?
Yeah. So breath work, everything that I do, the Akashic, it's all with the basis of grounding and running your energy first, which is spiritual tools that I learned from my teacher, Michael Tamura. And then it's always infused with that unconditional love Reiki energy because it's just become part of who I am and my natural self expression and how I operate, like you were saying. So with breath work, which is like my absolute favorite modality aside from Reiki. They're just such beautiful modalities that bring us to our whole self with such integrity. Breathwork, when I facilitate, especially at these retreats in person, the person's nervous system gets to feel super held and safe. And you get that safe integrity infused touch
Mhm.
while you're having your breathwork session, because the breathwork is very activating,
Yeah.
right? So little trauma, big trauma starts to bubble up and come to the surface. If we're fully in it, if we're committed to it. And so the Reiki really acts as this solvent to say, you're safe, little messages, you're okay, I'm here, I've got you. That kind of mothering, safe energy that you can just ground into. You can feel your feet being held. I might place a hand on someone's forehead. And so the ability to be able to have that soft, informed touch while you're going through something so activating is really helpful. When I do breathwork classes online, like before one of the panels, I'll do a complimentary breathwork class and I'll infuse it with Reiki. That's when I'll use the long distance technique, the
Mm.
second degree information that they'll learn in the second degree class. So I think it just adds this. And with anyone that's learning, or if you've already learned first and second degree, what you're doing is infusing Reiki, whether you're conscious of it or not. You then, as a practitioner, you're infusing everything you do with that energy, whether it's your professional work like breath work, or your coaching work, or nursing work, when you're cooking, when you're parenting as a pet owner, in your environments. Because part of this leans into the spiritual tools aspect that I teach, is like you can actually do Reiki on a room before you enter it. You're really able to consciously and intrinsically infuse this energy, this universal life force, unconditionally loving energy, into every corner of your life. So it creates this like blanket of love over everything.
Oh my God, a blanket of love. That sounds so good.
I just
Oh,
thought of that.
I love it. You should coin that. There should be a whole post on it. It's really interesting. And we didn't really get into how you found yourself on your own spiritual journey and your path, but I know that this is what you live. This is how you are in all of our interactions and conversations. And I know how much you care about others. And you mentioned that you were introduced to Reiki as a young girl, but tell us maybe a little bit more about your journey to where you are today.
Yeah, sure. I was born in a yoga ashram, a Sikh Kundalini yoga ashram. My parents were American Sikhs at the time, and they were very dedicated, and it was immersive. And we were there until I was about 2 or 3. And then we left, and I was in Vermont and grew up in the sort of cow country mountains of Vermont, very cold, but very wholesome life. And
Mhm.
my mom was really suffering from migraine headaches, debilitating. She'd be in bed most of my childhood, a lot of my childhood, and she found Reiki. And that really became such a medicine for her. And then she started having me be her guinea pig. And as a teenager, I was like, what is this? My cells like opened up and loved it and wanted it. And then I started teaching with her, and I started learning from her Reiki masters. And all through my teenage years into my 20s, this was my thing. This was what sustained me while I was a professional Hollywood actor, which is my other thing that I was doing. So it really has always been with me since being a teenager. It's always been a way that I've been able to source myself, to sustain myself, and to give to others, and to make money
Yeah.
when I was a struggling actor. And then as I became a mother, it was a way, and even when I was babysitting, when I was in my teens and 20s, I could use it on the kids, or I practiced in dentist's office. I practiced in all sorts of, like, I'd be at like a Sundance Film Festival a party, and I'd be practicing on people, doing chair treatments on them. Places that you just wouldn't really be doing Reiki. I was doing it in Hollywood corporate meetings. It just didn't make any sense. But I was like, I am a Reiki practitioner. Let me do some Reiki on you. It was just how I felt comfortable, and people always really would like to receive that. But I do teach protocols with, you never ever want to be inviting yourself into a space where someone's not ready or not wanting it. So we go through all of those kind of protocols and permission and all of that. So that's really was my journey, was from the very beginning. And then discovering Reiki led me to doing trades with a girlfriend of mine in New York. And she was a breathwork facilitator, and I started learning breathwork and I started practicing it. And then we started teaching it together. We combined our efforts and we started doing these Reiki breathwork circles in Chelsea, New York City, and then in Los Angeles, all over LA. And that was amazing. And then 4 years ago, I want to say, I rediscovered breathwork again online during the pandemic. And it was like, yes, this is it. And then Akashic record reading came in maybe about 9 years ago. And that was just such a passion. So I like to say my teens and 20s were really where I got into Reiki. And then in my 30s, it was really about kind of like breath work. And then in my 30s and 40s became about Akashic record reading. And then in my 40s combined all of these modalities. And now here I'm about to be 47. I'm finally like, okay, retreats, let's get it all in.
Oh, I love it. And it's so interesting because it does unfold in its own timing and in its own beautiful way. And when you look back, you could see how things came to be. But in the moment, sometimes you're like, wait, what is this? I know for me, I follow my curiosity. Like if something's interesting or that I just feel like my energy wants to pull me towards this, I'm curious about it. Did you find yourself also following your curiosity to the different modalities?
Yes, I've always been strangely pulled, like Rumi says, like just strangely pulled by my heart. But I also feel that it's a calling. You're called. You have a higher mission, a destiny, a way that you're meant to serve in the world, a way you're meant to bring healing to the world or light to the world if you are a healer. And these modalities pick you in a sense.
It's so interesting. When I first left corporate and back in 2019, that was January. And then in March, I went to go visit my daughter who was studying abroad in Europe. And we met in London just because it was easier and long weekend for both of us.
Love it.
And I walked into a store and it was like a healing store, the store that's going to have crystals and
Mm-hmm.
essential oils and yoga stuff and books and cards and all these things. And the woman said to me, she said, "Oh, you're a healer." And I said, "No, I'm not a healer." I said, "I'm a former banker. I teach yoga though. I got certified, but I don't really teach." Like it was a whole thing. I wouldn't take the word on like healer
Mm-hmm.
because it felt so
Yeah, and it's not
heavy.
for everyone. You don't have
Yeah.
to call yourself that. Yeah.
But it was interesting that she saw something in me before I saw something in myself. And I wish I could ask her now. And so she like chased me out of the store and she gave me these lavender incense. And she's like, "I just want you to have this as a gift." She said, "You'll be back." And I was like, okay. And it was just like one of those things like where you say
Wow.
healer, like sometimes you don't know what your path is going to be. You don't know what your journey is going to be. At that
Mhm.
point, I didn't know I would be doing all the things that I'm doing, but she did for some strange, interesting reason. And sometimes,
Yeah.
like you say, you find
She was
yourself,
probably psychic.
yeah, probably. And you just find yourself in the space where you're, oh, wow. Looking back, I'm like, yeah, it's been an interesting ride the last 6 years. And so for you, I guess my question is, what has surprised you the most about your own personal journey?
I'll say that the amount of self improvement is never ending. There's no there, right?
Yeah. There's no
We're
destination.
always on the path of transformation, self evolution, human revolution. It's self growth is extremely adventurous and powerful and never ending. And that's why we're here.
Yeah, it's true. I think when we finally figure it out, I think then it's time to go. Like, I think that I'm like, okay, it's time for the next chapter. Because until then, there's always more to learn, to grow from one another, from each other, from God, just on this adventure. What else do you have going on? Anything else that you're
Do.
willing to share?
Yeah, so it was meant to be an Akashic record reading retreat, and it morphed into what was being called in more in a demand was another Goddess of Light retreat. And that's
Mm.
happening in Mount Hood National Forest at the end of September 29th to October 2nd. And we have, let's say, like 13 spaces besides me and the Reiki caterer. One of them probably already taken, so maybe 12 spots. And we're going to do a waterfall walk. And the Airbnb is absolutely incredible. There's beautiful, like state of the art everything, and just surround windows with the forest. And we're going to, of course, have transformational breath work infused with Reiki. Of course, we're going to have a cacao ceremony. We're going to have sound bowls. We might have a private concert, which we've done a
Oh.
couple times in the past, which has been so freaking healing and deep and beautiful and powerful. I just wept the whole time at the last one
Mm.
during the private concert. And I imagine there'll be a couple of other things that we'll bring in as well. But it's a magical mix of transformative modalities that are a way of you just feeling that you can come home to yourself and relax and expand and set down what you're ready to set down. And then there's always support afterwards. The way that I do it is that you're not going to crash into your life with no support afterwards. Because as if you've done a retreat, you come back and it's real life and it
Yeah.
can be a little rocky. So I always like to offer that extra support afterwards where we can do Zoom breathwork sessions together and I can listen to like how are things going since the retreat and since these shifts that have happened at the retreat. And a lot of times people will get all sorts of life-changing ideas at the retreat where all of a sudden they're implementing and they're on like this whole up-leveled path. So it's really exciting.
I love that so much. So that's September. And then the
Hmm.
other one is in July. I will be at my retreat in Morocco in September.
Yes.
So one of these years, I will make it to one of yours, just when the stars align. So yeah, that sounds absolutely amazing.
Thank
And
you.
we'll include links for both of these in the show notes because they're different and they look so beautiful, though. It looks like both of these are just magical.
Okay, I have a little surprise gift. So for your listeners, I'm going to do a code, Aneta friend, all caps,
Oh,
Aneta friend. So you're going to have $100 off of any of these things I mentioned, these retreats or these certifications.
amazing. I love it. Okay. I will make sure to include that in my newsletter when we promote this as well, just so people can see that it's in there in addition to the show notes. So look for that in the show notes and also in the newsletter. So, how many years, how many episodes on the podcast now?
I think it's 3 years and 250 episodes that, or 251 episodes that I've published, and I've unpublished several over the years that just
Wow.
weren't relevant anymore for
Yeah.
various reasons or what have you. But yeah, there's about 251 published, maybe 254 published episodes now.
Amazing. I guess I should say, how do you feel you've grown as a result of hosting a podcast?
Yeah, it's been keyword of the day today, transformational. It has really been an inroad for me to grow in ways that are completely unexpected and exciting and beautiful. And I've just been able to have other, particularly women, but also men, feel so seen and heard and known and loved and dignified and supported. And the reciprocity is there. Like I've been able to really receive so much feeling seen and feeling heard and feeling
Mm.
known, having my voice have a platform to be able to reach people with my teachings or with my learnings. That's just such a treasure. And then these panels that I host, I call it treasures of the heart, we say in Buddhism. It's just collecting treasures of the heart to be able to host these panels of spiritual entrepreneurs and women leaders and to be able to put our light in the world and to be able to
Mm.
bring every piece of our story that is gold, every thread of our story that is gold, to bring those threads to light and for us to have a way, a platform to
Mm.
be able to share our work in the world, I think is so incredible.
It's so generous of you and it's so beautiful. And I want to make it work. I definitely want to see if we can make the one in July work. That would be amazing.
Yeah, or if that doesn't, we'll do the next one.
Yeah. Siri, I ask everyone what it means to them to live the width of their life. So, what does it mean to you to live the width of your life?
Expansive. I feel my most authentically me if I'm living the width of my life. Because I'm a manifesting generator,
Me
any
too.
of the various, right, passions that we have that we can explore, that our soul just wants to expand.
Mm.
So, living the width of my life, I really feel that I do that when I'm either giving or receiving breath work in particular. It's just this expander.
So good. So I love the word expansive too. It's just beautiful. Siri, thank you for being such a bright light. I love you. I love everything
I
that
love
you do.
you.
It's so amazing. And I am just holding this vision that all of the souls that need to find these retreats find it, that you sell them out, that people have the transformative experience that you have set forward and that you're intending for everyone.
Thank you. I can say with confidence that the women that are called to these retreats are going to forever be changed. And that is such a blessing that I get to be a part of that service.
Yeah.
So thank you, Aneta, so much. I
You're
bow to you.
welcome.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome, my friend. Thank you.